Hey everyone, and welcome to another of Dave's Deliciously Simple episode. Tonight I'm going to start off by doing probably one of the simplest stocks that you can make. Most stocks you have to boil for a long time, and you often have to drain off the fat that's at the top. Sometimes you have to let it sit in the fridge, but this is really a half an hour stock. And of course, stock, this is a Japanese stock. So this really connects up to my miso soup episode. That was my second episode of Dave's Deliciously Simple. And so we're going to do a dashi stock. And a dashi stock is basically a fish-based stock, but it's Japanese style. And it's really can be done very quickly. It takes about half an hour tops because you just want the water really get to a boil and boil for a couple of minutes. We're going to show you how to do that in this episode. And I really want you to, just watch really how simple. You remember, really want to make things simple for you, want to make them delicious, and want you to be able to do this yourself at home. Now, the one thing that I have to warn you ahead of time is in making a dashi stock, you do have to have a couple of things available. And the first one is bonito flakes, which is basically shaved fish. Sometimes it's some fish scales, a whole bunch of mixture stuff. You could substitute fish bones. And the second thing is you're going to want to do a proper dashi is kumbai. But often, depending on where you live and things like that, you may not be able to get it. Now, living here in Toronto, as you saw in my first episode or my second episode when I did the miso stock, I can find those items really easily here in Toronto, but I know that there are websites out there that do sell the products and you can get them because they're dried. They're really actually quite simple. I was surprised that I did not find these two items on Amazon. Okay, so right now, of course, I have access here to an electric stove, so this is going to take a little bit longer. If you had a gas stove that had high temperatures, it would be really quick, but it's going to be a little bit longer by electric stove. But of course, you can use any sort of heat source to bring your water to a boil. Now, what we're going to do is as we make this soup base or this dashi stock, we're going to really do this quite quickly. Now, you can do this in a couple of methods, and so I'm going to do it the simplest method. So as you can hear by all the loud noise, I'm opening up my bag here that's got my two products in it. So the first one, and these products are quite stinky, so just be prepared that they have a really powerful smell to them. So the first product that we're going to pull out here and use here is our kumbai. Okay, and now you could substitute, like I said, if you're not in an area that you can buy this, you can use a substitute of nori paper. I just want to remind you that if you're going to be making miso soup, nori paper often has a lot of salt, so if you can get an unsalted nori paper, that would be great. But we're just going to take a couple of sheets of this and throw it into our stock. It's going to give it a nice flavor here. So we've got about 8 cups of water in here. We're going to throw in three of the leaves. And then the second thing that we're going to add here, and this is leftover from Japan, because this has really got a really powerful odor to it. And I actually have it sealed in a second bag. So this is the bonito flakes. So these are just fish flakes from frozen fish that has been sliced, and then the flakes have been dried. So it's got some meat, it's got some bone in it, it's got a lot of the pieces. But if you didn't have access to bonito flakes, you can always use fish bones. Yeah. Use a couple of methods to actually drain out the product. When I do it in large batches, which you know, is rare, but when I do it in large batches, I like to use a cheesecloth because, you know, I can put all the stuff inside the cheesecloth and then just drop it into the water and bring it to a boil and soak the stuff out. Larger volumes, you're going to want to you cook it maybe a little bit longer, but like I said, this is going to take us once we get to boiling, it's probably going to take us about 10 minutes. So really fine shavings of all the stuff, and we're just going to put it in the water. The water isn't hot yet. I just have turned it on to boil. As I said, you know, most stocks and things like that, you're going to add some salt to it to change basically the scientific way is we're lowering the boiling point of water. But you can do this with a couple of ways. So if you have a pressure cooker, you could do it in a pressure cooker. It's gonna boil much faster and things like that. I don't have any of that. Well, I do, but I'm not going to use any of that fancy stuff because I'm going to assume that you have none of it at home. So really simple. All I've added is my kombai, which is sea kelp, dried sea kelp, and my bonito flakes, and these are both unsalted. I'm going to take a lid, I'm going to put it on my pot and let it boil away. And you know, through the advancements of technology and everything like that, we'll speed this along by about 30 minutes, and we'll show you what we're going to do with our dashi stock. Because like I said, I'm not using cheesecloth. I'm not going to use a scoop to scoop it out. I'm going to show you a quick way that you can actually drain off all of that stuff in there. As you can see, it looks pretty yucky in there right now, and we just really want the liquid. So we're going to speed things up, and in about a half an hour, you're going to see what it looks like. Okay, so we've had it boiling, and we're going to let it boil not too long. It really, like I said, the water has been brought to a boil with our lid. Of course, make sure if you're using a good pot that you've got, you know, good solid metal lid, and you've got your gloves. So I brought this to a boil. It's now that I've taken the lid off, it's gone down a little bit in its boil, but it is boiling here. As you can see, our kombai or sea kelp has sort of fallen apart, and you can see around the edges. You often get this happening with a lot of your stocks as you know, as it's been boiling and things like that. You can see that I've got bonito flakes up on the side. So because we're going to let it boil for a little bit longer, and through magic again, we're gonna rush the time. So we're gonna give this only about 20 minutes now that it's been brought to a boil, and then we're gonna drain it off. And I'm just gonna quickly show you what I've done here, so that you can see when I do drain it, what's gonna happen. So because I don't have cheesecloth, and I want to make my life as easy as possible, I have a bowl, and I have a pretty thin colander here, or sieve as some people want to call it, and I've just put that on top. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to like drain the liquid in here. Of course, it's going to come up through the sieve and fill up the bowl a bit, but you know, when we lift it up, it's going to fill up the bowl a little bit, and it's going to come up through the sieve, but that's quite all right. And then we can drain off the majority of our kombai and bonito flakes and put them aside in our other sink over here. It helps to make it really clean. I'll give you a quick look as to how it looks through video shortly. Okay, so we're now going to drain our kombai. We've had this boiling for a bit. I can smell by the flavor, it's pretty strong. So what we're going to do is we're just going to take it, we're going to pour it into, like I said, into our pot. It's okay if we spill a little bit. Because I'm going to go to the next step and make some more miso soup, I just want to show you quickly what we're doing here. We've just cleared out our stuff. As you can see, most of the stuff is cleared out. I'm going to show you a quick little look at what's in our bowl here. So there's a little bit of stuff, so we could sieve it out with a scoop or something like that, but it's actually pretty good. It is pretty hot, so remember always to try to be as safe as possible and as clean as possible when you're in the kitchen. Okay, so we're really at our last stage. Our dashi is ready. We can do lots of different items with this. This is a really good fish stock now. Is Japanese style, so it's a little bit different than what I would do a traditional, what I'll call European style fish stock. But that's already, if you saw my previous episode where I made the miso soup, that's the dashi stock there. Now what we can do is we've got about 8 cups there. So I've made up about 8 cups. What I'm going to do, a little bit of green onion, a little bit of mushroom, the miso paste. If we had some shrimp and some clams, like I said in the previous episode, that would be wonderful. I could do lots of things with this. I could also add noodles to it. I could make this a lovely seafood chowder if I wanted to. I can do lots of pieces with this now because this is just a perfect stock that you need for a seafood stock. You can do seafood stocks lots of other ways, but dashi is probably the easiest and quickest way to make a fish stock or any stock for that matter. So I hope you enjoy, and if you need to, go back to my previous episode on miso soups, and if you want to see a different type of recipe done with this, I'll be glad to do it. Just put a comment in the section below, and you're all set. Have a good one. Hope it's delicious, and hope it's simple.